Hello, welcome to AleaSoft webinar. My name is Alejandro Delgado, Associate Partner of AleaSoft, and thank you for joining us today to the webinar with the topic Prospect for the Energy Markets in Europe, Vision of the Future of the Energy Storage. Our first speaker today will be Oriol Saltor, Associate Partner of AleaSoft, that will analyze the evolution and prospects of the European energy markets. Then we are chairing this session for the fourth consecutive year with Raúl García, Director of ASEALEN, the Spanish Energy Storage Association, that will talk about the energy storage, regulation, current situation and prospects, as well as the global economic situation in the face of the tariff war. If you have any questions at any time during the webinar, please use the Q&A menu and we will answer them after the presentations. And now, I hope you enjoy the webinar. Oriol, please, you can start now.
Thank you, Alejandro. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Happy to be here again with Raúl and the Spanish Association for Energy Storage. Very hot topic, energy storage, as we have been seeing in our latest webinars, and 1 year more with Raúl again. About the energy markets, well, what a week! What we have seen in the not last week, just the last 7 days has been something quite crazy, I would say. I was about to say that it is basically the header could be uncertainty, but I think this is beyond uncertainty because things can change from 1 hour to the next one. So I finished yesterday afternoon preparing my slides, and this morning I had to go again over everything, changing numbers, changing sentences, adding clarifications, because things are changing rapidly. And this is what we are going to see in the energy markets: sudden changes in prices, uncertainty, not knowing what we are going to see in the not even the midterm, even the very short term. Well, let's try to make the best that we can with whatever we have now. Okay, I will start as always explaining what we do at AleaSoft and the services that we provide in case you don't know us. So basically in AleaSoft we are energy market advisors with more than 25 years of experience in the European energy markets and some other markets all around the world. So our goal is to cover all the energy markets at the global level. We cover all the energy markets in Europe right now, also some markets in the Middle East, some markets in South America, in North America, and basically we have data and we are ready to modelize and to forecast nearly any energy markets in the globe. The methodology that we use to modelize and analyze energy market is a methodology developed by ourselves, specifically for forecasting in the energy sectors. The 3 main points that we like to stress about our methodology is that it is a completely scientifically based. It is a hybrid model combining several techniques from statistical classics through artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms, and recurrent neural networks. We have been using, this is the core technology that we have been using for the last 26 years. This hybridization and statistical techniques give very consistent and coherent results, coherent forecast. The consistency and the coherency of our forecast over time is one of the aspects that our clients like the most about our forecast. With some of these clients, we have been maintaining a trust relation for more than 25 years because we started 26 years ago in the European electricity markets and now covering all the European energy markets and some other markets at the global level. Over these 26 years of history, we have been developing a wide range of services. We started with when the liberalization of electricity markets in Europe started. So basically, as more companies started being involved in the electricity markets, energy markets, and the liberalization of the electricity sector. So basically, more companies, more services, and as the needs of our clients started growing, also our range of services also started growing. And we basically divided all our services under 6 divisions, under 6 marks, in order to make them easier to explain. Under Alea Green, we have all the services for the long term, forecasting prices, demand, renewable production, fuel prices at the long term. That's hourly prices up to 3 decades ahead. Under Alea Blue, this is the services where the company started, so short and mid-term forecasting of demand, prices, renewable energy productions. Under Alea Storage, all the services that we provide for energy storage, batteries, mapping stations, etc. So basically forecasting revenue streams up to 30 years ahead. Under Alea Hub, we have a couple of marketplaces where we try to match offers among our clients, offers for PPAs, so projects selling their energy with off-takers looking for a project to buy the energy, or buying or selling energy projects, renewable energy projects mainly. Under Alea Wide, we provide information for the energy sector. We regularly publish reports analyzing the energy markets. We regularly also publish news in our website. Every month we do these webinars. We also provide custom reports for whatever are your needs. And under Alea Consulting, all the services, all the information needed to basically make decisions, make important decisions, having all the available information that you need. And with all this range of services, we basically can service a lot of basically all the players in the energy sector. Among our clients, we have consumers, producers, investors, traders, control centers for distribution grids, for transmission grids. So basically, every player in the energy sector at some point they will need one of our services. Okay, let's start the review of the energy markets. We always start with fuels. We always start with the Brent oil, but let's start this time with the main topic that it's having a huge impact on all the markets that we will see afterwards. And they are the USA tariff. The North American administration has been setting, pausing, increasing during the last week several times the tariffs that they have imposed worldwide, basically to any country in the world that have a trade deficit with that the USA has a trade deficit with. So basically every country in the world. Right now, since last night, these tariffs are paused, but the tariff to Mexico, Canada, and China, that now it's 125% tariffs. China, on the other side, increased their reciprocal tariff back up to 84%. That's the last number that I had. So basically, this is basically halting any possible trade between these two countries. I originally used this map because I wanted to just to show how most of the impact of these tariffs were going to Asia, and this is important because these are very oil intensive countries. These mainly China, that now should be black, not dark blue, but black. Mainly China. It's a large oil consumer at the global level, and any change in their expectations of the change in their oil demand is going to have an impact in prices, and that's what we saw. So these are Brent oil prices, and basically since April 2nd, based on the uncertainty on how these trades all over the world are going to impact the economy, how the economy is going to impact the increase in oil demand, and basically all this uncertainty make the prices crash. So the strong support that we have been seeing for several months on $70, and then we said in previous webinars that it was quite strong. It's clearly broken. So, and basically analysts are saying that below this level of $70, basically everything is possible. So no clues on how the prices can go. So basically we went back to prices for February 2021, and I would say this new trade war with the tariffs are the main source of this decline. But on top of that, OPEC plus countries that were planning to increase their production by April 1st, they announced that they will start increasing production by May 1st, but not just what they had planned to increase, by tripling that. So basically, the increases that we were planning for May, June, and July, they are going to put all of them on May 1st. That would be a huge or a very significant increase in the oil supply. So combining a lot of oil supply with uncertainty on the increase in the demand, basically this is a clear imbalance, and this is what right now is putting pressure down on oil prices. Where we are going to go from here, difficult to say, depending on basically on where the expectations for the increase in the demand are going. So if we are seeing that the Chinese economy, even with this trade war, or if the trade war conditions change, can be slightly optimistic, probably prices will recover. This level of $70 is a level where prices usually stay comfortable. So this is probably a possible outlook for the coming weeks. We will also see what OPEC plus countries will be doing. They are really going to start increasing production strongly in May 1st. Will they delay again, as they have been doing for months, the increase in production? We will see. Because at these prices, oil production in a lot of oil drills in the United States are not profitable. So probably we will start seeing a decrease in the production, in the supply from the American side with these prices. So maybe some balance here will be reached. Again, difficult to see. Let's see. It will be interesting. In the next webinar in 5 weeks, I think it is in 5 weeks, we are going to talk a lot about what we would have been seeing in previous weeks. Okay, if we move to gas, I usually start showing you gas prices, but I do it on. I prefer starting with the gas reserve before, because you will see why. So basically, we ended up the winter, the withdrawal season. We ended up at just below 34%, 25 points below at the levels that we finished the winter last winter. So quite different situation. Right now we are at 35%. So basically, looking at this, we would think, okay, we are going to need a lot of gas during the summer. We have to refill up to 90% by November 1st. We are going to need a lot of gas during the summer. We will have to get this gas. So it's going to be the first refilling season without pipeline gas from Russia. The few gas that was coming from Russia through Ukraine, it's no longer here. So the first time we will have to refill everything with our own gas from Norway and with LNG. LNG market, it's a tight market, it's a global market, so we will have to pay a premium if we want the cargoes to come to Europe instead of going to Asia. So that would mean, so we would be expecting higher prices now, and now that we are entering the refilling season going into the summer. What we are seeing, we are seeing prices going down. So basically, market is moving on the general flow of the stock market, the oil market. So basically seeing pessimism and putting downwards pressure on on the prices. So basically, Liberation Day was here, April 2nd, sharp decreases in prices since then. So basically, following the flow. What we can see from here on the upside, as I said, we are going to need a lot of gas during the summer. That would put upwards pressure on prices. The European Union is trying to make more flexible the targets that we have. Maybe we can bet, we can try not to reach 90% before the winter. That's a little risky because depending on how the next winter comes, if it's very cold, then we are going to need a lot of gas from our inventories. But we can try to start below 90%. That's an option that the European Commission is talking. It's a possibility. But again, we are going to need a lot of gas during the summer. That puts upwards pressure. On the downside, maybe we are facing another global crisis. Maybe we are. So if this trade war, this tariff, basically start reducing a lot the global trade, maybe we are going to see something similar to what we saw during the COVID crisis when everything stopped suddenly. Maybe we are in this situation. Maybe we are in the situation in the financial crisis on 2008, where the crisis was much deeper and it take much longer to recover. That those are the risks. From what we are seeing right now, we see a lot of volatility in the short term, but always at some point, as this night happened, as things start going really wrong, maybe there are some countermeasures. Let's hope that it goes in that direction and that we are not again in another global crisis. I'm being quite pessimistic, but okay, I'll try to improve the mood. CO2 prices basically following the flow, very correlated in the last weeks, in the last months, very correlated with gas prices going down, CO2 prices also going down. Okay, let's take a look at the electricity markets. I always take this opportunity to show you our online database. That is one of the services that we provide to our clients. It's an online database containing all the information relative to the energy markets. We have information from basically any market in Europe, and we are adding markets at the global level. We also have information on fuel, some macroeconomic data, futures for electricity, futures for fuels. So basically anything, and we are adding new data every day. So very, very convenient to have all the needed data always all the data in one place, always updated with the same format, ready to be downloaded, ready to be analyzed. So very convenient. So what we are seeing here are the electricity market prices for some of the main electricity markets in Europe. These are the monthly average. So the last whole month that we have is March. And basically comparing March to February, what we saw is a general decrease in prices. So on average, European electricity markets went down by 30%. The largest drop was in the Spanish market, 51% down. And then on the other side, the market that decreased less was the British market, UK market. It was down 18%. So basically prices went down because we are entering the spring, so we are having lower electricity demand. Demand decreased in all the countries with respect to February, if we take into account that February had fewer days, but calendar corrected, we had less electricity demand. And then gas prices, CO2 prices are down, so this everything puts downwards pressure on prices. Again, Italy is still the market with highest prices. Now Spain, if we don't take into account the Nordic countries, Spain is the market since the beginning of the year is the market with the lowest prices. If we take a closer look, those are the daily averages since February. And basically, we are seeing here how as gas prices started declining in mid-February, electricity market prices started following the same trend, going downwards. That's why on average on March we had lower prices that we had in February. And since then, so month to date, we are having lower prices that we had in March. And if we take even a closer look, that those are hourly prices since the beginning of March. Basically, what you can see is that most of the hours are around 100 euros megawatt hour. And you can see how starting mid-March, we are starting having more and more hours with low prices. This is something that we already saw in the last spring, something that it's quite common on a spring where we have very low demand because we have mild temperatures usually during a spring. And we have usually a lot of renewable data, still some wind energy coming from the winter, more solar energy going into the summer. So it's a typical situation. And we see how in the Spanish market, that is the blue one, is the one that started first having low prices, clearly low prices during solar hours. Then most of the markets started also having lower prices. And interesting to see how this year lower prices during solar hours started appearing in mid-March. If we compare it to last spring, if you remember, they started in mid-February. So we are in a slightly better condition that we were last year. And talking about zero or low prices and zero and negative prices, if we take a look at the number of hours with zero or negative prices that we had up to last year, as we already know, last year we had a lot of zero or negative prices in most of the markets. Italian market, I always put it as an example of how insensitive they are to renewables. But for most of the countries, although it's not a new situation for any of the European markets, clearly it was a common trend of increasing hours with negative prices, mainly concentrating during the spring. Why are negative prices important? Well, because most PPAs have, or mostly PPAs signed from in the last years, they have a special clause for negative prices. So when there are zero negative prices, liquidation settlement conditions are different. So it's important to take into account how much hours with negative prices are we having, how much are we going to have at the long term. This is one of the forecasts that we do, how many hours per year we're going to have with zero or negative prices. If we look at the hours with negative prices up to April 9, so basically yesterday, as I mentioned, compared to last year, negative prices started later. So basically, most of the countries at this time of the year, we are having we have had half the negative hours, the negative prices that we have had in last year. But so probably it looks like we are going to be slightly lower or at the level of the negative prices that we had last year, because now we are going into the summer where we also have negative prices. And now today that we are going to talk about energy storage, this is a graph that we like to show. It looks the hourly profile consumption for pumping stations. So pumping stations are the highest or the energy storage technology most developed in Spain. And we can clearly see how, as prices started getting lower and lower during solar hours, the consumption of the pumping stations during solar hours start increasing, and they reach their maximum in 2024 so far. And also in 2024, they started decreasing the consumption during night hours. So clearly, they are moving, not just increasing, but moving their consumption from the night to the solar hours. Okay, let's go a little faster through the futures market. In general, futures forward curves have decreased as spot prices have been decreasing. But if you remember what we saw in our last webinar, we saw that they decreased a lot. So this time they have decreased slightly or clearly less than last time. So even spot prices have been decreasing a lot. The futures have not been decreasing as much as we saw in our last webinar. Maybe saying that futures market were already seeing at least some of what was coming. So futures markets are pretty clever, I would say. So forward curve for Brent oil, as expected, as spot prices decreasing in the short term, nearly 9% 2020 remaining of 2025, 7% 2026, and then less for the rest of the years. Same that we are seeing for the TTF forward curve. Decrease. We are already in the summer, so the remaining of the summer, 14%. In the last webinar, we saw the summer falling 25%. Now they decreased 14% also in 4 weeks, so much less decrease, and also decreasing for the coming winter. CO2 forward curve, very rigid curve, as the spot prices decreased, 8.6% decrease in the forward curve. Electricity futures, following as always the trend of the gas futures, so slightly decreasing or decreasing all along the curve. Decreases just around 3%, but in the case of Spain, where they increased 0.4%. So not very important movements. Taking into account what we have seen in the rest of the markets. And just as a summary of what we have seen, what we are taking into account when making a forecast now, Brent oil, we are below the $70 that was considered kind of a strong support. So we have seen the impact on the raising tariffs from the USA, the impact of the expected increase in the production from OPEC plus countries. We will see how it goes from here. TTF prices, they are basically in the middle of the turbulent energy market. We see the upside risk coming from all the gas that we are going to need during the summer, the downside risk if the gas demand really decreases due to a global crisis, that would put downwards pressure in prices. CO2 prices following the trend. Electricity market prices decreasing now in the spring as expected. Also, the decreasing gas prices helped to that decrease, and we are starting to see low prices during solar hours as expected during the spring. And for the next 5 years, we expecting to be the 5 years of the revolution of the energy storage, mainly batteries that are the more flexible, the most easy to deploy, the fastest decreasing prices. So we are expecting to have the next 5 years for batteries being in the center of the electricity sector. At the long term, renewable energies, energy storage with batteries and with other technologies, the production of green hydrogen, how the hybridization of all these technologies is going to play a role on shaping the prices in the energy markets. And that's it. Just let me tell you, our next webinar is going to be May 22nd. We are going to keep talking about energy storage. We will be talking about batteries specifically with Javier Diego, an expert on this field of batteries. That's all. Thank you, Alejandro.
Thank you very much, Uriel. Really interesting presentation in this uncertain period. Yeah, let's see how it goes from here. Raúl, when you're ready, please, you can share your slides now.
Thank you very much, Uriel. Thank you very much, Alejandro. Let me a moment to share my presentation. Okay,
Perfect. Yeah.
there you go. Thank you very much again. It's a pleasure to be again here once more time, trying to give you an update for the energy storage situation in Spain with a really holistic view, trying to see what the future expects for the decarbonization of the electrical system and probably the whole energy system. So let's moment for presentation of the ASEALEN, the energy storage, the Spanish Energy Storage Association. We are a non-profit association of companies involved, as I said before, in energy storage, but with a clear focus on the decarbonization of the electricity sector and the thermal uses of energy. We are currently 50 companies, different sizes, different activities, beginning with consultants as AleaSoft, or suppliers, producers, manufacturers, engineers, and of course IPPs and utilities interested in this activity. So the whole market, we know more or less the current overview for the 2030 year, the National Energy and Climate Plan of Spain, with a clear bet, a clear goal for energy storage, split in two main lines, on two main goals. One for storage as a big boss, regarding 19 gigawatts expected in 2030, and an additional line focused on thermal energy storage linked with CSP, with thermal solar energy or concentral solar power facilities, increasing in more or less 2.5 gigawatt, additional gigawatt in 2030. This is the current number that we use for Spain, 22.5 gigawatt of storage, but we have to keep in mind that we are already more or less 7.5 gigawatt installed in Spain. So what happened this last year? Most of all know the PERTE grants, the recovery, the next gen, or the recovery plan, the resilience and recovery Spanish plan, has several lines for grants, not only these three, but these probably are the more relevant grants. First was the co-located or the hybrid grant for storage. This line granted 900 megawatts and almost 2 gigawatt hours that have to be in service on mid-2026. There are other grants for non-peninsular system from islands in Spain, the Balearic Archipelago and Canary Island, with almost 70 megawatt and almost 200 megawatt hours that have to be on service to in mid-2026. And the big one, or perhaps the most new line for a standalone project for our storage that granted 700 megawatts and almost 3 gigawatt hour that have to be in service on mid-2026. The most important thing regarding these lines is that the permitting of most of this project is very important, or it's very hard to get. So the situation is that most of this project, especially the islands and the standalone projects, are at risk of not get the permitting with enough time to build the projects in the duty date. So the government of Spain has said several times that it is working with the European Commission in order to get some more time, probably less than a year, but this could be enough in order to get time for try to use most of these grants granted for the companies. Linked with this, is in fact the same grant, for standalone, for pump hydro, and for thermal energy storage. Last year was solved 100 million for different pump hydro storage systems. This Ecoebre only have a partial grant, and it's a very short grant. It's more or less 10 million, if I don't remember. Well, so we don't consider that this project is going to start the construction, but these other 3 projects probably will. Of course, Alcántara, this is an Iberdrola project, and this will start the construction now. Probably they actually or currently will be on works, with several problems perhaps to make the need works on the Alcántara dam, because this dam is in top of the capacity these last 2 years, caused by the important rains in the Tajo River. And these other projects, it's Navaleo and Velilla, and it's more or less 700 new megawatts and almost 5 gigawatt hour. This this facility has so much storage because it's linked to currently big dams, big reservoirs, existing reservoirs. And the current project in construction in Spain is Chira-Soria in Gran Canaria, in the Canary Island, that we continue with works, and probably will be in service in 2027-2028. These 3 projects has to be in service on end 2030. And the other grants are the thermal energy storage that I said. It was a pity because the line had 30 million euros for projects, but only was warranted 6.5 million euros. In any case, there is an important amount of power for this new technology. We are we are talking about use electricity to heat some thermal storage and use electricity instead of diesel or gas consumption. So it's a good starting, in my opinion, in order to increase the PV consumption anyway. So these 22.5 gigawatt that National Energy and Climate Plan established, we can split in the 2 kinds of storage, the daily and weekly storage, and seasonal storage. In the line, they established that last year European market reform. So the amount of gigawatt, we can consider that behind the meter we have more than 500, 600 megawatts currently in operation in Spain. So we have to get another 1 gigawatt more in this 5 or 5 years. Regarding to CSP, we have to get the whole established capacity, 2.5 new gigawatts. And for BESS, we have the PERTES grants that we expected more or less 1 gigawatt anyway should get the operation in next year, and we have to get an additional 6 gigawatts between 2 and 6 hours for 2030 year. Regarding seasonal, the main facilities will be pumped hydro storage. In Spain, we have currently about regarding 6 gigawatts. Depends of the data that you take, because it's between 5.5 and 6.1 gigawatts, and we have to think that this is the generation capacity, not the consumption, not the pumping capacity, that this is quite low, more or less about 4 gigawatts of pumping capacity. So we need to build another almost 3 gigawatts for 2030, and as we see before, we have 1.1 gigawatt linked with the PERTE grants. This is the general ratio. So what is the situation to get these goals? Okay, we had the Red Eléctrica grid access data. We have here the batteries, okay, the BESS systems. This graph is regarding access capacity, and this graph is regarding installed capacity. Okay, the main difference between these both, this is in this graph are all the BESS or the batteries capacity asked for Red Eléctrica, including hybridization with or collocated with PV and wind existing plants, and in this case is only direct access to the grid. So the current situation in Spain is that we have more or less 23 megawatts installed in direct connect to the grid, but we have with real access granted about 12 gigawatts, and asking or applying in Red Eléctrica for about another 78 gigawatts more in the system. Regarding to pump hydro, we have this 5.3 gigawatts on service, but we have another 2.7 gigawatt with access granted, and another 1 gigawatt with permitting in March. Okay, and the graph for Balearics and Canary Islands that has a quite important amount of capacity in the grid, taking into account the size of this system. So the goals of the PNIEC, of the National Energy and Climate Plan, are clearly able to get, and the ministry has these four ways, or these 4 actions in order to get this goal. No, the first is market and services. The market and the operational procedures, the different services for storage and for demand are almost finished. Probably this year conclude or end with the demand, the voltage control new services, and with this storage and demand, I insist, can participate in most of the services and most of the incomes in the Spanish markets. Other way is the renewable energy auctions. I think this probably will keep stopped for several months, perhaps another year, up to all the new generation, especially PV and wind projects, will finish the schedule. The schedule situation regarding with the time for the ethos, for time for the milestones of the 5 years grid access, and the other two new schemes that are capacity mechanisms are the flexibility support schemes. Regarding these flexibility support schemes, I don't talk about today about this, but the most important thing is in next week, Acer will receive the proposal for the TCOs and DCOs, the NSOE and the DCO entities for this new methodology, and we hope we will soon know what is going to happen with this flexibility, thinking on flexibility in short place, like the needs for the control ramps of the especially PV, and the needs for this imbalance regarding the fail in the methodology, the weather provisions for generation, and perhaps the most important thinking in the decarbonization of the system, that is this long-term flexibility thinking in renewables integration. So we will see what happens next weeks, and we will try to keep the sector updated with this new information. So the most important thing last year or beginning this year has been the capacity market, the public hearing in the capacity market. We have a draft for this new service. It will be an auction with an established required fin capacity curve. This curve will be set linked the capacity, the megawatts, and the price for this euros per megawatt. So we don't know how long, how big, how much will be this auction, but taking into account countries, similar countries, as it could be Italy or UK, probably the size of this market will be between 40 or up to 45 gigawatts in the auctions. There will be three kind of auction: main, adjustment, and transient. The main split, or there will be opportunities for new plants or new asset and existing, no news. The existing assets only will have the payment for 1 year, 12 months, but the new facilities will have a payment for the half of the lifetime of the assets. Okay, the question is that we don't know will be the lifetime that the ministry set for different assets, but we hope that probably batteries will be between 10 and 10 years. Pump hydro will be, of course, in 15 years. Assets behind the meter will probably link it with the years that the draft set for demand, that it could be up to 10 years. So it's a good opportunity. The other auction, the adjustment auction, will be an annual auctions thinking to fill the gap between the main auctions, the projects that perhaps has several delays or quite the projects, and the transient are the auctions that will have up to the first date of the main services, not the main auction services. So it depends if the date for a standing service of the main auction is 27 or 28 or 30 or 2030, we will have more or less transient auction. The most important thing, or the most important parameter in this auction will be the firmness ratio, and that we don't know what will be, no? And we have to keep in mind the condition is we have to be available in stress hours, and these hours will be between 5 and 10% of the total years of the total hours, of the year. So it will be between 400 and 800 more or less hours per year. And the draft established or set to reserve price for existing assets. So it could be different prices for existing and for new asset, in order to let that recognize that perhaps new asset need more missing money that existing plants, and try to include storage and this non-fossil flexibility in the system, with the real goal to increase renewable in the system and reduce the fossil fuel dependence. So this, I said, this was a public hearing, and I would like to tell you about several allegations that we did from ASEALEN. So the main things are that we have asked for a quota for storage and for other storage. For pump hydro and other storage, in order to try to get a real support for new storage facilities. Try to avoid the monopolization. Try to establish that not only 3 or 4 business groups get all the capacity, in order to increase the competitiveness in the market. Try to detail the simulations and the methodologies that set the different, for example, the rating factor, and try to update the parameters it demonstrates performance. For example, the same, for example, for the rating factor, it battery 4 hours storage or 4 hours battery demonstrate that they can increase the fin capacity. Try to update the parameter in the rest of the years of the service. This is an important theme regarding the whole cost of the system, and this is something that ASEALEN is asking in all the public hearings. Try to the demand that participate in not only this capacity market, all the ancillary service of the system, try to not to assume the cost of this service, in order to try to reduce the real cost of the demand, trying to with the big target of increase the electricity of the thermal uses and other and other activity. Okay. We have asked for different clarification for the collocated or the hybridization of the facilities, new facilities or existing PV plants, for example, with new batteries. What is the lifetime? What is the rating factor? The service time for the auction, if we consider a new or an existing. There are several things, and try to or let to participate in the transient or the adjustment auction if before the date of the start to provide the service in the main auctions. Okay. Other things that we have asked is not require the grid access for pump hydro, because they have 9 years to work or to build the project, so they know this kind of asset doesn't need or don't need to have in the date of the auction this permit or this access. Try to get or to let to participate in the new asset auction only Spanish facilities, not transborder or trans-international facilities. Set the reserve price only for no renewables, sorry, and try to clarify the concept, the meaning of the availability, and if the notice period before get to provide this capacity. And one thing that we have asked very hard to is try to use this capacity market, adapt to use as a capacity mechanism that allow to get the fossil flexibility goals. Okay, so the scope for that is that this is the European Resource Adequacy Assessment for the last year is very recent. So the LOLE of Spain for the year 28 is only 4.8 hours, and in the future 2030 is only 0.3 hours. The standard reliability for Spain is between 1 hour and 2 hours. It's not set yet, but this is the expected ratio for that. And the question here is, what is going to be the real need for Spain? Because this is under the National Energy and Climate Plan assumptions, but these assumptions perhaps is not the real thing, thinking in all the wind capacity and the PV capacity and even the storage capacity that this National Energy and Climate Plan established. So the situation is what is going to do the TSO, the Spanish TSO, Red Eléctrica, if we are going to be something similar to UK with a rating factor between 0.40%, 60%, or if we are going to be something more similar like Ireland. No, we have to think that Spain is probably more electric island than Ireland, because Ireland has 2 interconnectors with UK and a new interconnector with France, and Spain is only expected 1 new interconnector, only 5 gigawatt with France for all the Iberian Peninsula. So this is a risk, and we don't know what will be the situation, but in my opinion, probably Red Eléctrica will be more close that this parameter than this other. We will see in a few months probably. And the other new things, the big thing in Spain is the new grants, new FEDER storage grants. FEDER is the European Regional Development Fund. So Spain has decided to allocate 700 million for different technologies, standalone, thermal, collocator, or hybrid, and pump hydro. So this is the most the top of the subventional, the granted cost of the different technologies, and we have to keep in mind what is going to happen with the local content of the value chain, because there are a great focus on these points. Okay. There will be 36 months, and the auction will be solved before end of this year, and the project had to be built, have to be in operation before end 29 in any way. Okay, we have perhaps these months, a few months for penalties, but you can get some more time. So if we think in probably grant roughly 20 euros per kilowatt hour, this could this could bring about 20.5 gigawatt hour, that if we have storage about 3 hours, it could be more than 7.5 gigawatt of new capacity, base capacity in Spain before 2029. So this is the the new scenario. So in my opinion, this is more relevant that capacity market for batteries at least, perhaps not for pulp hydro, because it's a problem with the time for get this project over. But this is the main situation. We have proposed different split of equipment for this value, local value or local content, this value chain in Spain, trying to get, but we have just like keep in mind that batteries will be very low, probably very low punctuation if all the content is non-European. So we have to keep it in mind, and we have asked for other different cost increasing the thermal storage and the pump hydro. So regarding the regulation, we have the grid access and connection demand side in force, but we are pending to know the detailed specifications of this demand access and the definition of the flexible access. We have enforced the new detailed specifications for generation, and this has bring new capacity in the transport grid, but this new capacity has been blocked several cases, most of the cases, because this new generation, has been blocked for the demand side. So we have auction demand size for grid access too, and this is a problem. And is happening. We have a new no peninsular system regulation for islands and for the little systems in North Africa, and we will see what this will change, but probably this is a big step, a big change to increase the profitability in these systems. I had here some numbers, some figures regarding the storage. The main important thing is that we have this 3 months, 4 months from January to March, that the storage has used very less than the previous years. Okay, probably this will be, we can see here, no, March last year we had a record of use of pump hydro with more than 1 terawatt hour, but this year is only half a terawatt hour. Probably this will have to be with the low production of wind, but we don't know exactly. This is the weekly hydro storage in Spain. This was last year, historical. This year, more historical too. Okay, no new record, but we will see what how this affect for the rest of the year. Probably AleaSoft will know better than us. This is the evolution of the CO2 emissions. We can see here how November and December was very bad months, probably, as I said, caused by the low wind generation. And this is the goal for emissions in the National Energy and Climate Plan. We are failing a little, but we will see what is happening. And I would just 1 minute more talking about several cases. We have to think that in Spain, we have only 23 megawatts direct connect to the grid, but we have more than 500, probably 600 megawatts behind the meter. And this is one of the examples. This is a behind the meter project with 10 megawatts hour, 5 megawatts of capacity in 2024, that it has been increased up to with new 11 megawatts and 22.5 megawatt hour. Other examples could be this Nifica, other project, smaller size, but even important thinking in all the industrial capacity in Spain. This is one of the circumstances of establish these cases because of the fees and the taxes of the system, the demand in the houses, the difference between different charges, different fees are more than 50 euros per megawatt, so per megawatt hour. So it's almost a clear business case in this sector. This is some information about what is happening with the secondary service in Spain, whether we have an excess of generation in the midday. The prices is decreasing very high. Link it with the demand. This is the demand specific service. Last year was granted or was awarded with more than 200,000 euros per megawatt. It's only 1 year duration, but it is an important amount in order to put batteries behind the meter in big facilities. It's a in my opinion, very good business. And this is some examples about what we talk about thermal energy storage with a real project. This is an example of an equipment of 2 megawatt-hour thermal energy, and several projects, very hard European projects that use solar thermal energy or waste energy, but we have, for example, this 3 megawatt electric megawatt in this with 12 megawatt-hour thermal energy in this project, and other projects like this. Okay, this is a project linked with a combined cycle of 23 megawatt-hour, but for example, this is a real project for a beverage company trying to electrify the consumption and decarbonize at the same time using this thermal energy storage. Okay, I had a few graphs of what the storage is doing, but you can access all of this info in the Red Eléctrica website. But keep in mind that the storage is working not at only sell or only buy. If we get the tile, we can see how even the storage is buying and selling, is injection is generating and consumption at the same time, several situations and several times in order to adapt to the different market and the different services. Okay, this is what we have in Spain, and I hope we will see an increasing operation of this kind of asset. This is Pampiro, these are the batteries. Okay, and this is all that I would like to tell you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Raúl. A really great presentation and a lot of information, interesting data on the energy projects. Thank you for sharing those examples at the end. Thank you for sharing this webinar with us again, and we hope to see you again next year in the April session. So unfortunately, we have run out of time. We have answered some of the questions already, but we will answer the remaining questions directly by email. And as Uriel mentioned, I invite you to register to our next webinar in May with Javier Diego. He's an expert with several years of experience in storage development. And thank you again, Uriel and Raúl, for your presentations, and the audience for joining. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Alejandro. Goodbye.
Have a nice day.